All right, I just left the 49ers locker room after that 38-10 blowout loss to the Packers. This is the iconic Lambeau Field tunnel. 49ers walked through this to get out to the field. That's where we'll head right now. I think there's some precipitation on this chilly night, so I'm gonna have to keep this short. I'll tell you, in the locker room, Christian McCaffrey was not happy. Not surprising, but he was sitting there at his locker, stone-faced. Most of his teammates had already packed up, gone to the bus. Christian McCaffrey remained at his locker. I talked to him for a bit, and he was incensed at the mistakes that the 49ers made today, both sides of the football. McCaffrey, obviously a team leader, and he's somebody that is not going to be happy if clean football is not delivered. He wasn't going to be sitting there blaming it on the injuries. Obviously, no Brandon Allen, no Nick Bosa, but he was real with the situation. So the 49ers have 6 games left, 6 games to turn this around. And they're very much still in the race, which is wild to me. The Arizona loss to Seattle means that the NFC West is even more bunched up than before. The 49ers are 5-6. Now they're facing a really tough turnaround. Now Buffalo will be coming off their bye week next week, and the 49ers are going to be traveling back to the West Coast now. And then Thanksgiving happens, and then they have to go to Buffalo where it might be snowing. Right now it's raining here at Lambeau Field, but it might be snowing. It might be even colder in Buffalo next week against an even better Buffalo Bills team. So there's a really good chance the 49ers will drop to 5-7. That being said, even then, they'll still probably have some runway to turn this around. And to turn it around, Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa need to be back. That was an embarrassing defensive performance from the 49ers today. The defensive leadership talked about that. Kyle Shanahan talked about that. He said it was embarrassing in all facets, and I would agree. I mean, they penalized themselves to death on both offense and special teams, and then defensively, they just couldn't stop the run. And these are huge problems that Nick Sorensen has been unable to address. He hasn't been able to grow into that defensive coordinator role when it comes to the results. And I get that he hadn't had Nick Bosa for the last 6 quarters of play, but he did have a whole week to set up a game plan, better blitzes. The blitzes did not hit against the Green Bay Packers today. There was a drive where Green Bay converted a 3rd and 11, a 3rd and 5, and then a 3rd and 10. 49ers entered this game as the number 25 third down defense in the league. That did not get any better today. They entered this game as the number 21 run defense in the league. That did not get any better today. And I get it, Bosa is super valuable, but at a certain point, you have to be able to smoke and mirror your way to competitiveness, and the 49ers didn't when they spotted Green Bay those 17 points early in this game. It was going to take some defensive pushback to start this, to help Brandon Allen and the offense out, and the 49ers, with Nick Sorensen's defense, absolutely didn't do that. I mean, they missed 10 tackles in the first quarter alone. That was the most by any team in the NFL this year. That's a defense that didn't show up ready to play in this game. So that's going to have to be a really, really tough love fix. Kyle Shanahan has to look at that defensively this week and say, this was nowhere near good enough. This needs to change really quickly with or without Nick Bosa on the football field. Offensively, I mean, this was a backup QB loss, right? We said that the 49ers had a really narrow path to victory if they were going to do it. And I had talked, I predicted the Packers were going to win, obviously, but I talked about how would the 49ers strategize the win, if it were possible in this game. What would need to happen for San Francisco to get that job done? And my main thing was set the offense up in a position where they could play the game on schedule. The defense obviously didn't help that from the very get-go, but then the offense didn't help itself. I mean, 4th and 2, when they're trying to claw back in the game, Kyle Shanahan goes empty backfield? Really? Empty backfield when they had started running the ball decently well at that point. Incomplete pass to Christian McCaffrey. They were asking the impossible at some key junctures today. At other junctures, they just straight up dropped the football. Deebo Samuel, he's got to catch that ball, turns into an interception. That pretty much sealed things for the 49ers. So, just errors all over the place. That's why Christian McCaffrey sat at his locker just stewing, not happy with how the 49ers performed today, because it wasn't just one thing. The good news for San Francisco is, they still don't have a firm prognosis on Brock Purdy, so you
can't really say it's firmly good news, but the chance to fix this lies in the potential return, because everybody should see how valuable Purdy is now. 49ers don't get blown out in any games when he and Nick Bosa are available. It's a difference of a play or two in those games. Today it was a difference of like 50 plays. So get your quarterback back, get your star defensive end back. Both guys, I think, underrated in the bigger scheme of things, and then go and fight over the last 6 games of this season. It's unfortunate that the very next one for the 49ers is a brutally difficult one in Buffalo, but that's just how life in the NFL works. This is not an easy league. It is not for the faint of heart. The 49ers played 60 games over 3 seasons entering this year. They didn't have a Super Bowl trophy to show for it. I think that proved very, very difficult to overcome even beginning this season. The mental and physical strain that put on this team without the boost of actually hoisting a Lombardi trophy what was very hard, but the 49ers have to suck it up and see what they can do. You know, that's a chance every year that it's not your year, that certain things are going to conspire to be in a position to derail you. And it's looking awfully like that for the 49ers right now, but you've got to keep on fighting until the very end. And the fact that the NFC West has not separated itself means that the 49ers have no excuse right now but to continue fighting. They cannot pack it in like a lot of their fans want to pack it in. Crazier things have happened in an NFL season. We saw just how unpredictable the league was today with all of those morning results, right? That was crazy. We saw all those games and the onside kicks and the late scores and the missed extra points. And then we saw Arizona lose 16-6 to Seattle, and that NFC West stay ultra bunched up. So it's going to be a race to the finish. It might be a plodding, mediocre race to the finish because nobody in the NFC West is separating themselves. But for the 49ers, they're quite okay with that. They can still see if they can gain their footing, which starts with getting their players back and then just consistently delivering better football. Last week against Seattle, it was about finishing. Against Arizona, when they lost, it was about finishing. They couldn't do that. They were efficient for a lot of the game, but they couldn't finish. They didn't finish against the Rams. Well, today it was about starting and just playing 60 minutes because they got their asses kicked on this field in Green Bay. Lambeau Field, an iconic place. Let's make a walk back into the locker room. I'm going to go buy a local newscast and be quiet. Be very quiet. And we'll walk over here and make it into the tunnel. So when the 49ers won here in that 2021 season, they sprinted into this tunnel after Robbie Gould made the field goal to get into the warmth. So I'm getting back into the warmth. It was much warmer this time, but it still wasn't all too nice out there. I'm just going to show you guys the way to the locker room. So you get your Lambeau Field tour. So this trip isn't completely worthless for the 49ers. I figured you guys would want a behind-the-scenes look. Well, we could at least get that done while we're out here in Wisconsin. But the Packers, 38, the 49ers, 10. San Francisco is 5-6. They've got to regroup. They have to realize that the season goes on, whether you like it or not. The season of torture goes on for the 49ers, whether you like it or not. So I'm walking up the steps. This is the only locker room I know of where you actually have to walk up or down steps to get to the field. It gives me Notre Dame vibes, right? We're almost at the top. And those are the 49ers locker room doors. See you guys later.